welcome to this episode of Just Between Sisters Grandparents Edition, my favorite subject. So today is not to tell you what type of grandparent to be because there's all types of grandparents. You know, their relationships vary from like very formal relationships where you have little involvement to fun-seeking or active playmates or even just familial deeply involved daily life grandparents. I never lived near my grandparents. They actually lived in another state when I was growing up, but they were my favorite people in all the world. And I remember being around 8 and knowing that my grandparents were going to be at my house when I got out of school and running as fast as I could to get home. My own grandparents on both sides were actually very good friends outside of being my grandparents, and they traveled together and enjoyed each other and actually took care of one another and looked after each other, which is surprising in some ways. I didn't know that wasn't normal, but because they actually met on the day or shortly before the day, maybe a couple of days before my parents actually got married. They had not met until my parents got married. So it wasn't like they'd known each other prior or anything, but they were fun and loving, and I just really miss them all very, very much. Proverbs 17:6 says, grandchildren are the crowning glory of the aged. Parents are the pride of their children. And I wanted us to look at how to have and maintain healthy relationships as grandparents, with our grandparents. And you may think the verse would say children are the pride of their parents, but it says parents are the pride of their children. And don't you want your children to say that about you, that they're proud of you, and what a blessing that would be? I recently read that grandparents shouldn't expect to spend every holiday with their grandchildren. Grandparents should have lives which include but don't revolve around their adult children and grandchildren. And I thought, what? Who even wrote that? And I know if you're a grandma out there, you agree with me. Like, who would write something like that? But I think those statements do provide a valuable framework for our conversations today. So we are so glad to have two of my favorite people as special guests today. My two youngest grandchildren, Wade and Winnie Joy. Can you guys say hello?
Hello.
Okay, Wade, would you like to tell everyone what grade you're in?
I'm in second grade.
Second grade. And what about you, Miss Winnie? Kindergarten. I am so glad to have you guys as my special guests, so thank you for coming. And I'm going to ask you a couple questions about grandparents. And I did not tell them what to say, and I just told them to think generally, not just about me or their Gigi and Papa. But my first question is for Wade. Wade, what do you think makes a good grandma or grandpa?
Welcoming and loving.
Welcoming and loving. But what do you mean by that? Like, what do you mean about welcoming, buddy?
When I walk, or when I get out of the car to come home and say hi to my mom, she's like, oh, hey. And then when I haven't seen you in a while and I walk to your door, you're always like, hey, Wade, let's do this, or something like that. Okay. And I just feel welcomed.
Oh, good. Okay. That's a good thing then. Good. Winnie, what would you say? What do you think makes a good grandma or grandpa? Is there anything you can think of?
Having fun.
Having fun? That's a good thing, huh?
Helping.
Like, what do you mean by helping?
Me out and help me in, like when I bring stuff, you help me go out with my stuff that I brought. You help me.
You always have a lot of things that you got to bring with you, right? Maybe mostly what? What do you bring with you mostly? Clothes to change. My girl's a fashionista. And what else do you bring with you?
Baby doll.
Baby dolls. She's a baby doll girl. So we always like to have her come and she brings clothes. We can do fashion show and babies. So good. That's good. Wade, what would you say you like to do with your grandparents? What's the most fun things that you do with your grandparents? Either me or Saba or Gigi or Papa, or you have lots of grandparents?
Go to movies.
Oh, you like to go to the movies. Okay. And who usually takes you to the movies? Not Grammy.
Saba.
Saba takes you to the movies. And what do you and Saba do at the movies?
So first we would go and get our snacks.
Oh, snacks are important.
Popcorn and slushy blue raspberry.
Oh, blue raspberry slushy.
And then the red vines. You can't forget his red vines. And
That's Saba's favorite, huh?
Yep.
So you remind him to get his red vines?
Yep. If he walks past, then you're like, no, Saba, you got to get those.
You got to get the red vines. Does he share with you?
No.
That's terrible, Wade. Grammy will have to talk to him about that. Okay. And then you like watching the movies together.
Well, we can't really watch it together because he'll fall asleep.
Saba falls asleep. Yes, he does usually fall asleep.
So I'm Saba duty.
Saba duty. And what does Saba duty mean?
You will wake up Saba if he falls asleep.
Oh, do you always have to be the one on Saba duty?
It's me or Ford or whoever's there.
Whoever's there, whoever's sitting closest to him. Yeah, I think that's probably why he likes to go to the movies too. So, that's funny. Winnie thinks that's funny too. Winnie, what do you like to do with your grandparents? What's your favorite things?
Go to the store and hang out.
Okay, you go to the store with Gigi and go shopping and hang
Tea
out.
party, painting nails.
Oh, we like to paint nails, and we always have a tea party when you come over. That's Grammy's favorite too. And sometimes we have a snack when we do that.
Yes.
Good. Those are fun things. Okay, so now we're going to talk about some other things. What happens if you do something that you shouldn't do when you're at your grandma's or grandpa's? Okay, Wade wants to say first.
Well, you would usually say, I don't want to give Dad a bad report.
That's what I do. I kind of just put it on your dad, right? Mm-hmm. I don't get you in trouble. I just tell him, you don't want me to give Dad a bad report. But I usually never have to.
No.
Okay. And Winnie, what do you think? What happens if you do something that you shouldn't do at Grandma and Grandpa's house?
You could tell the truth, but if you don't, you get in big time out.
Big time out if you don't tell the truth, yeah.
Depends on what you did bad.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So you always want to behave when you're at Grammy and Saba's house or Papa and Gigi's house, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Good. How do grandmas, not just your grandmas, but how do other grandmas, how can they help you if you're feeling sad? Okay, wait.
They could help you with, to distract you, not in a bad way, play a board game or have snuggles. I like snuggles.
Okay, snuggles are the best. Yes, Winnie.
Praying.
Oh, yeah. What happens if you're afraid? Sometimes you get afraid, huh?
Yeah, I get afraid from lightning and thunder, and then Grammy prayed for me, and I was all better.
Yeah, lightning and thunder's not her favorite.
And tickling, and I laugh.
And tickles you and makes you laugh. You guys are great, and you are so sweet to come and help the Grammys and Sabas know the things that kids like to do. And hopefully the Grammys and Sabas and Grandpas and Gigi's and Mimi's and Nanas and all the different names that kids have for their grandmas, hopefully they can ask their grandkids what are their favorite things and learn some things too. So, because Grammy did today too. So I love you both.
I love you.
Thank you for coming and being my special guests.
You're welcome.
So healthy relationships with grandchildren are really rooted in prayer and selfless attitudes. And that's where I think even those first two statements that seemed a little harsh come from. And today we have a list that we've come up with to keep us in check. And it begins with, number one, honoring our relationships with our children and respecting their parenting decisions. You know, we may disagree but we need to keep our mouths closed. And if we are invited to offer advice, we still need to bathe it in prayer before we speak. Of course, unless there's some situation where your grandchildren would be in danger, or, if there's something that you feel like is very sinful that you need to address. But once you address it, then mouths closed. And that's, your children's responsibility, because our children are the parents, and they're the perfect parents for those kids, not because they're perfect. We've talked about this before, but because they're the parents God chose to raise our grandchildren and not us. So, just making sure that we are honoring our relationships with our children and respecting their parenting decisions. Number 2, ask the Lord to show you what will be your legacy in your grandchildren's lives. And I promise you, it won't be the money you spent or the correction you felt they needed, but it's going to be the joy they felt when they are with you. And grandparents shouldn't expect, to spend every holiday with their children, and they shouldn't expect, to not have their lives revolve around their grandchildren. But I still believe that we need to pray and really ask the Lord what our legacy will be. I feel like my grandparents, I had a grandfather that was very ill for most of my life, but he was the grandpa that you went to if you needed to ask some deep question, because he was thoughtful and very, very stately. He was an Englishman, and he just, was a little more serious, although he loved to laugh. But he was the grandpa that was the wise one that you went to for wise counsel. And my other grandfather was super playful. Like, he was the jokester. He got in trouble as much as we did from our parents, and for being a little too playful when it was time to go to bed, or for laughing too much at the dinner table, and food going everywhere. So he was the little more of playful. And but I just know that both of my grandparents really respected my parents' parenting, and they were just super proud of my parents and the way they parented. I do know, and this is just recently taught to me or told me, but that my one grandmother had a favorite grandchild, and that happened to be me. And apparently my parents had to address it and tell her that when she came to the house, she could not buy me more presents than she had bought the other kids, because the other kids were getting older and noticing that I got more gifts when she came to the house. So, there's things that might need to be addressed with your children, or things that they might need to address with you, and just being open to that is very respectful and honoring to them as the parents. Number 3, show them Jesus in your speech and actions, and care for them. Sometimes even Brian and I have had to correct ourselves, because we'll find ourselves just saying, talking to each other just in normal voices, like, babe, do that, or do this, or whatever, and realizing that our grandkids are watching everything we do, and where we know that we deeply love each other, and we weren't raising our voices or talking harsh to one another, but just, it was in a manner that wasn't, that they may perceive that we were upset with one another. We certainly do get upset with one another, but I felt like, in that moment, to just say, hey, babe, I'm sorry I said that way. I didn't mean to. And, just let our grandchildren see that we're human beings, and we fail too, but we want to show them Jesus in our speech and our actions and our care for them. Some grandparents may not have the freedom to talk about Jesus openly. Your children may not be believers and themselves, and may ask you to refrain from talking to your grandchildren, from taking them to church, or for talking about church or about Jesus, or openly praying with them. But always ask the Lord to show you ways that they're going to see Jesus in you, even if you don't have the ability to speak openly with them. And, I always say that there's nothing wrong with you coming around them or alongside of them, putting your arm on them and praying with them quietly that no one can hear. Jesus can minister in those ways too. And you can be a reflection of him in their lives. And number 4, refrain from favoritism. And I kind of jumped the gun and talked about that. But look for ways to connect with each grandchild in a special way, especially when you feel drawn to one more than another. Don't compete with the other grandparents. I think part of the reason that I loved both my grandparents so much is that they loved each other. I always try to champion the other grandparents, the gifts they buy, the time they spend with them, because competition in this area is not godly behavior in any way. And so you never want to, get caught in the trap of trying to one up the other grandparents or talk poorly about them, even if there are things that, maybe those other grandparents struggle and maybe they don't grandparent the same way you do. But just refrain from competition in every way. And number 5, just like grandchildren should not always get their way, grandmas, we're not always going to get our way. And that's the right thing. It stinks, I know. When I want to do something, or I want to purchase something for them, or I want to, spend time with them and there's not time for them to do that, or their parents have suggested that I don't get them that for Christmas because it's best. It's right. I shouldn't always get my way. And just begin to pray daily for each grandchild and see what God will do. And I'm just so thankful for you that are listening today, and just would like to close in prayer and let you know, as grandmas, how and grandpas, if they're listening, how loved you are, how the Lord sees you. And we're going to do that. We're going to close today. Jesus, we're just so, so thankful that we have these special treasures in our grandchildren. And Father, if there's those where there's difficult relationships, maybe we haven't heard from our grandchildren in a very long time. Maybe they're older and they're involved and busy in their own lives, Lord. Would you just show us ways that we can connect with each one? And Lord, even if our relationships are broken or strained, Lord God, would you just help us to see how we can pray for them, Lord, and see what you will do. See how you can bring healing even to those relationships. And Father, we just praise you. We bless you. We know that family is by your design, Lord. And we're just grateful, Jesus. Amen. Thank you, ladies, for listening.